Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here from aBlogtoWatch. Today I'm going to review the Gorilla Drift Safari. This is a timepiece that's a new color. I reviewed the original one a while ago, but I never did a video on it. So I'll talk about the watch for the first time, even though this is a color follow-up to the original one that came a few years ago. I will say the price has changed, and that is something I discuss heavily in the written review. The first watch came out really sort of like underpriced, and it was sort of promotionally at that level. And then into the third iteration of the Wandering Hours watch that Gorilla has done, it's sort of more normalized to what I think the price is probably going to be. So this watch is just under $5,000. Definitely the least expensive one of the least expensive Wandering Hour watches on the market. There's a few other competitors out there right now, but I think for the money, this is probably the best quality. And the reason is that Octavio Garcia, the founder of Gorilla, worked in tandem with Swiss Vaucher to develop this module. Now, the cost effectiveness comes from the fact that it is a module. The base movement is a Swiss at a 28-24 automatic, and there's a relatively thin module that goes on top of it, which offers the Wandering Hour system. And the way that works, if you're not familiar with it, I'll show you. This scale from here to here is the minute scale. And then the active hour literally wanders across it until the next one comes aboard. So here you would see about 3:53. And then at the end of the hour, you move your gaze over to 4, 4:10, 4:20, 4:30, 4:40. And then you can see 5 shows up there. And the Wandering Hour satellite at around the 6 o'clock position makes that turn. So each of these has 4 hour markers on it, and they just sort of play that dance. And what's great about this is you can adjust it both ways, which is not the fact with all of these. Audemars Piguet, which is the company that Octavio Garcia worked at, where he fell in love with this complication, currently has their own Wandering Hours watch that they call the Star Wheel, which is vastly more expensive. And doesn't actually do anything extra really than this one. So I think that's a very interesting story about the Wandering Hours complication and how the Gorilla Drift in its various forms is probably, in my opinion, the best cost to quality ratio. There might be less expensive things on the market there, but honestly, knowing what goes into making these small parts and how they need to work well, I wouldn't trust the cheapest one on the market. I would trust a good one. The name of the module that Gorilla developed with Vaucher is the G-5238. And what's interesting is the first version of the Gorilla Drift that had sort of a black and red theme, it actually said Vaucher manufacturer right on the dial, sort of right over here. That has since been taken off. It was sort of extra text, you wouldn't need it, but I thought it was very nice how the original one, really credited and thanked Vaucher, but now compared to this, that's a little bit more of a historic version for the collectors. Other things that changed are the crown guard and the crown are now in the titanium material. They were in sort of this forged carbon material in the original Drift, I believe, and I, again, talk more about that in the review, but overall, this case, which is 44 millimeters wide and 13.8 millimeters thick, 52 millimeter lug-to-lug distance, is comprised of a lot of different materials. And we'll just sort of look at the stack of them. I think there's at least 4 or 5 major materials in the case alone. So we have the carbon, and then this sort of gold-colored strip is anodized aluminum. And then on top of that is a black ceramic bezel. Of course, you have titanium for this structure in the case back. And then over the dial, of course, is a sapphire crystal. And of course, you have rubber and this sort of Alcantara leather for the strap. So that's a lot of different materials. I think maybe steel here for the buckle. So wow, a lot of different materials in just one watch. And that sort of stacking of those materials is definitely part of the theme. I like the fastback look. That's the name of this sort of case here. The Gorilla Drift Safari is based upon this case that you can see is available with other Gorilla watches. This is actually amongst the more expensive, not the most expensive, but among the more expensive watches that has this. But even the lower priced ones have all those great materials, the titanium and the ceramic and things like that. What you get here is this really cool movement. I like wearing this watch a lot. in the safari theme, the sort of black and tan and gold colors. It's very attractive looking, has a bit of color, but it's still sort of a masculine and dark looking watch, and a little bit more fun and spirited than maybe sort of an all black watch. A little bit of color there with that sort of orange, burnt orange colored seconds hand there. So this again is the Gorilla Drift Safari. It has their special proprietary Wandering Hours module. Not a limited edition per se, I believe, but they make, I think according to Gorilla, maybe 100 of these drift watches per year. So it's definitely a hard to come by timepiece. Price is $4,850, and you can see the full review on aBlogtoWatch.com. Thanks so much.